also broken down. You know, when all those equations that I showed you earlier, you discover that it is glucose that is on the left side. So it is the one being broken down into carbon dioxide, lactic acid or ethanol, and the energy. So glucose is formed in photosynthesis, while the glucose is used or broken down in respiration. Then carbon dioxide is utilized in photosynthesis, while carbon dioxide is given out, is a byproduct of respiration. Carbon dioxide is a byproduct of respiration, but carbon dioxide is used in photosynthesis. Then oxygen is given out in photosynthesis, while oxygen is used in respiration. Energy is absorbed in photosynthesis, but energy is given out. Energy is a byproduct of respiration. Also, photosynthesis is a building up process called the anabolic process, while respiration is a breaking down process called catabolic process. In photosynthesis, there is increase in weight. The weight increases, but in respiration, the weight decreases. Fermentation. I said earlier that fermentation is cellular respiration that occurs in plants. Fermentation is the breakdown of sugar or carbohydrates by yeast or bacteria by means of enzyme called zymase in the absence of oxygen. So that tells you that it is an anaerobic process to release small amounts of energy, while alcohol and carbon dioxide are given up as byproducts. You know, I said in anaerobic respiration of plants, ethanol is given up, and ethanol is an alcohol. So fermentation is the breaking down of sugar, that is carbohydrate, by bacteria or yeast by means of an enzyme called zymase. So it's under the influence of an enzyme in the absence of oxygen. That tells you it's an anaerobic process, like I said earlier, to release small amounts of energy, alcohol and carbon dioxide. So you see, this is glucose, the sugar, that is broken down in the presence of enzyme called zymase into ethanol, 2 molecules of ethanol plus 2 molecules of carbon dioxide and 52 kilocalories of energy. That is what fermentation is all about. So what usefulness does fermentation have? First, it's used in the brewing of alcohol. Brewing of alcohol or alcohol production. In the breweries, fermentation process is very, very useful for them because it is the one that is being used to produce the alcohol. And how is it done? Yeast is added to crush germinating cereal, which causes the yeast to respire. Respiration process, which produces alcohol and CO2. Then it is also useful in baking of bread or in the production of bread. You know, when you want to make bread, you add yeast to the flour, then you mix it with water. The yeast now respires anaerobically to produce carbon dioxide, which causes the dough to rise. You know, when you put the dough in, after you mix it with yeast, you just leave it there, you discover that it will rise. Even in your puff-puff, you discover that it's right. And what causes that is the yeast. The yeast respires anaerobically, so it causes the dough to rise. So it's useful in the production of bread. Also, fermentation is useful in retting of jute, also in curing of tobacco and cocoa beans. It's also a method by which bacteria and fungi obtain their energy for growth. Bacteria are used in a few processes in chemical industries to produce acid. So, for acid production, also for the fermentation of cassava. You know, the process of cassava, when you have your cassava being turned into the various forms that you eat them, your gari, fufu and the rest, fermentation is involved. Finally, fermentation is commercially used as a source of protein and vitamins. So, what similarities does fermentation and aerobic respiration has? First, carbon dioxide is a byproduct of both processes. At the end of the reaction, you have carbon dioxide in fermentation and also in aerobic respiration. Also, energy is released at the end of the two processes. So carbon dioxide and energy are released at the end of fermentation and aerobic respiration. Now, the similarities between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. What similarities do they have since they are both respiration? First, both processes occur in living cells of plants and animals. Respiration, both aerobic and anaerobic, occurs in living cells of plants and animals. Then simple sugars are broken down to liberate energy in both processes. Then enzymes quicken the rate of energy release in both processes. Then the byproducts such as carbon dioxide are released in both cases. So both in aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration, you find carbon dioxide being produced. Now, to the differences between the aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen. So that's why you have the prefix AN, anaerobic. While aerobic respiration takes place in the presence of oxygen. Then alcohol and carbon dioxide are end products of anaerobic respiration. That is, there is no water. Water is not included in the end product of anaerobic respiration, while water and carbon dioxide are byproducts of aerobic respiration. Also, in anaerobic respiration, less energy is released, but in aerobic respiration, you have more energy released. So, in aerobic respiration, you have more energy released than in anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration is common in bacteria, fungi, and the muscle cell. Bacteria, fungi, and muscle cell is common to respire anaerobically, but aerobic respiration is common in animals and plant cells. Then anaerobic respiration has sugar partially broken down, but in aerobic respiration the sugar is completely broken down. Anaerobic respiration takes place in the cytoplasm, while aerobic respiration takes place in the mitochondria. So anaerobic respiration, cytoplasm; aerobic respiration, mitochondria. Now, from our class on respiration, I've brought up a few questions for you to lay your hands on. And the first question is, anaerobic respiration in yeast produces A, carbon dioxide and ethanol, carbon dioxide and water, carbon dioxide and oxygen, ethanol and water. What does anaerobic respiration in yeast produce? Number 2, which of the following events does not occur during anaerobic respiration of glucose? Which of the following does not occur during anaerobic respiration of glucose? 1, muscle cell produce lactic acid. 2, carbon dioxide is produced. 3, milk bacteria produce lactic acid. Then energy is not produced. Germinating seed produce alcohol. Number 3, the oxidative part of the respiration process takes place in where? The oxidative part means the one with the oxygen, like the aerobic part of respiration process takes place where? In the mitochondria, in the ribosome, in the endoplasmic reticulum, or the Golgi body. Then number 4, lung hooks are used for respiration in dash, in spiders, in insects, in millipedes, in snails. Number 5, the gill rakers of fishes take part in feeding, respiration, swimming, diffusion. Number 6, the organelle involved in tissue respiration is the endoplasmic reticulum, ribosome, Golgi body, the mitochondria. Number 7, during respiration, air circulates around plant tissue via the lenticels, the stomata, the gut cells, or the intercellular spaces. Number 8, which is the last question. In spite of the removal of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, its amounts remain more or less constant because A, it is produced by green plants during photosynthesis. B, it is produced during respiration by animals. C, it is absorbed in ocean water. Then D, green plants release it during the day. So to our answers, number 1 is A. Anaerobic respiration in yeast produces carbon dioxide, and ethanol. Yeast is not an animal, so that tells you that it will not produce anything other than ethanol and CO2. Then for number 2, our answer is D. Energy is not produced. Which of the following event does not occur during anaerobic respiration of glucose? Energy is not produced in the anaerobic respiration of glucose. Then number 3, the answer is A, mitochondria. Mitochondria is the site where oxidative part of respiration takes place. That is, the oxygen process, the aerobic process of respiration takes place in the mitochondria. Then number 4, the answer is also A, which is spider. The lung hooks are used in respiration in spiders. Number 5, the gill rakers of fishes takes part in respiration. B is the answer, respiration. Then number 6, the organelle involved in tissue respiration is the mitochondria, option D. Then during respiration, air circulates round plant tissue via, the option is D, intercellular spaces. Then for the last question, number 8, the answer is B. The reason why even after removal of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, the amount remains more or less constant is because it is produced during respiration by animals. Animals produce carbon dioxide regularly, so that is why it is more or less constant in the atmosphere despite its removal.